Joining us now is New Zealand UFC Featherweight, Dan Hooker. Dan, kia ora.
Back in the house at Featherweight. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Let's talk a bit more about that, because you started your UFC career in the featherweight division. You obviously went up to lightweight and now you're back in. So talk to us about the decision behind that.
It's just like a fresh start. It's exciting. Obviously the last year, you got to look at the reality of the situation is that I've lost I think it's like 3 of the top 5. So it's like, do you stay treading water at lightweight or back down to featherweight, which is a division I've spent like a large proportion of my career at, and it's like a weight class that I can make quite comfortably. Go down there, and then you're back in the mix. Like Arnold Allen is number 7 in the division, undefeated, 8-0 in the UFC. Like, you get past that fight, it's you're definitely back in the mix. In terms of talking about title contention.
When you made the decision, when you were over in the States, I believe, you did a test to see if you can get to featherweight, get there comfortably and carry on with life. So talk about that test and what was involved.
Oh, that's just more getting it past my coaches. That's like I went earlier last year, I floated the idea of going back down to featherweight past them, and they weren't really forward and kind of talked me out of it. So this time I just went ahead and did it. I was obviously, everyone knows, I was kind of stuck in Las Vegas for a few months, stuck in the US. So yeah, I just made the most of everything. They got some of the best nutritionists and all the fancy gadgets and that. So they just strap you into those, and so it's been done properly. It's not like I just came up with the idea myself and winged it and gonna do it anyway. It's with good advice from some of the best guys in the world at this part of the weight cutting aspect of the sport.
Because that's always the topic, isn't it? Whenever a fighter moves down a weight division, it's always about the cutting, something that you're quite familiar with. But how are you now? You're looking pretty trim now, but you're comfortable that you'll be on track, obviously.
Yeah, it's I don't lose the actual weight loss is not that different from lightweight. I think it's like a kilo of body mass difference. It's just I don't cut much to make lightweight. That's I can make that weight class very comfortable. It's just featherweight is it's just a big cut. It is what it is. I am big for that weight class without a doubt.
And then throw in the mix, the travelling component. This will be your first time going over to London, to the UK to fight. So talk about that.
Yeah, I didn't know that when I took the fight. I just saw the name. And I was just Arnold Allen, location, TVA, and I was like, oh yeah, man. Tell my coaches in there, I was like, oh, I'm fighting March 19th, and they're like, oh, you're on the London card. I was like,
say what?
But no, once I actually, at first I was like, man, that's about as far as you can possibly get from New Zealand. So I was a bit taken aback for a bit. But once I thought about it, and once it was rumored it was out there, I was getting a lot of messages from people just being like, man, we're pumped to see you come over and put on a show for us. So once I kind of got those messages, it made me think also who else is traveling at these times? Traveling somewhere new or traveling somewhere they haven't been or exploring. The UK or England has just opened up. It's scrapped everything. So it's go over there and life will be back to normal over there. So yeah, I'm excited to get out there, and I've never been. I've been to Europe, but I think it was Croatia. So I've never even been out to England. So I'm pumped to get out there and just explore somewhere new.
You could probably, after all of this, get a job in, say, politics, because you would be the master of knowledge when it comes to MIQ and all the rules and restrictions and how to apply for things. And I mean, what's the situation now? Obviously, all of New Zealand have gone into not a lockdown, but red light restrictions. So how does that work for you?
The gym doesn't change. This is our profession, and the fight team we can definitely keep under the restricted numbers. So that's that. Under the red light, whatever. It's not going to be an issue at all. I can just have my normal training camp. Might go a little bit earlier, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks over to England, and then just chill out over there, and then obviously, like, it's shut, whatever MIQ thing coming back, so we'll just go on holiday since then. Like, my wife's locked out, so she's in Australia at the moment. Like, she wasn't able to come back, so yeah, I'll go see her, or maybe go to Thailand, or maybe fly them out to England. Like, I don't know. Like, the world, you can make the most of the situation. Like, you're controlled by like whatever you spend your time dwelling on. If you're just dwelling on like, oh, can't do this, can't do that, like I'm more looking at like the things that I can do. And it's like, yeah, well, my mates can't travel at the moment, like especially not to Europe and be with my family over there. So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it.
Does it ever get any easier? I mean, you've gone New Zealand to America to Dubai, back to America to New Zealand. Now you're going to go to UK. Do you kind of get used to it?
Yeah, like for sure, especially at the start of this pandemic, you know, you just thought like, oh, I remember thinking back like 2020 March, like when like it just like we'd gone into lockdown and it was like, oh, we'll just do this fight and then the next one will be normal and then the next one will be normal and then it just didn't get normal. But like the way that I've just accepted it now, like I haven't stopped working like the entire pandemic, like fighting, traveling, training, like I haven't stopped grinding like the entire time. And you just, while you're like a young professional athlete, you just absolutely have to make the most of it. And that's what I've been doing. I've been able to stay, like I'm blessed that I've been able to stay active and stay busy and stay earning like a good living for my family during like the pandemic where a lot of people are struggling as well. So I definitely am like appreciative for that.
When you mentioned that you were fighting Arnold Allen, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to look him up. But when you look at him and his record of being undefeated in the UFC so far, I'm surprised that his name isn't more prominent in the UFC. What do you make of him as a fighter?
Yeah, that's why initially when I was like Arnold, like I know who he is. like I definitely know who he is. Like I've seen him fight like a bunch of times. He's a gun. Like undefeated in the UFC. 8-0, number 7 in the division, like just doing big things in it. Yeah, like this is his fight. This is his fight to like make a name for himself. Like the UFC is very good at like putting win-win fights for them. It's like either like I get myself in the mix or he gets like a bigger net. Like it's just they're all fights like that. So I'm excited, you know. It is a massive fight. That's why I still accepted the fight, you know, even though it's in England. It's just a massive opportunity to get a guy like Arnold Allen. That's a guy that's like jockeying himself for you're on an 8-fight win streak in the UFC. Like you're positioning yourself for a title fight like that. It's without a doubt. So to get that hype, to get that attention is like exactly what I want out of the fight.
How important is it for you to make a solid, not first impression because you've been there before, but a solid impression going back into featherweight?
Oh, they're all like that. You slide your chips across the table and every last one of them, they're like, oh, that's what everyone says. Like, oh, this is the one. They're all the one. Like, this is the sport of they're all the one. Yeah, of course. Of course, it's important to me. Like, I go absolutely all in every single fight, regardless. But I like trying to like people try to tell me about the sport that I've done since I was 18 years old professionally. Like I know this game. I know what's at stake, and I'll definitely prepare accordingly.
You've mentioned the title a couple times now. Obviously, it's no secret that one of your teammates and probably friend, Alexander Volkanovski, is the current champion at the moment. We've seen in the UFC that getting a fight like this, especially against, a top guy, can propel you further and perhaps to a title shot not too far away with this if you win this fight nice and well. Have you thought about that with Alexander Volkanovski? Has there been any thoughts or perhaps conversations about it?
Nah, not really. It's like you'll kind of cross that bridge when you come to it. Like you're worrying about like a tomorrow problem. That's like a big, especially in this. It's like the sport of flipping coins, and like the difference between win and loss is so finite. Like worrying about something that has like a possibility of happening in the future is might be a bit of a waste of time. So it's like we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Well, thank you so much, Dan, and all the very best for UFC in London.
Thank you. England, we're coming.